We here at Joe are lucky enough to have received an EA Sports FIFA 19 Team of the Year ballot box. I've been joined by the best footballing brains at Joe, who are going to help me pick my best 11 from 2018. Right then, guys, who's in goal?
I'd go with David De Gea. United have had a pretty terrible year, and without him, they could have finished a lot lower than they did. So I'm going to have De Gea in goal.
So De Gea in goal. Are we agreed with that, Wayne? What do you think?
De Gea's been good. I think I would go for Fullback though, because he hasn't had the highs necessarily of De Gea, but he also hasn't had the lows that De Gea had in the World Cup.
I think I'd agree. I think that as a team, United have suffered, but I think that's only kind of made De Gea look a better player. You know, he's had a lot more to do, and you know, he's been up to the task, and he's been their best player for you know, a while now.
So De Gea's our number one. Right, on to defenders. Wayne, who's your first pick?
I think that if you've watched football in the last year, you cannot go any further than Virgil van Dijk. I mean, he didn't play in the World Cup, but this season so far and last season, he's just been way ahead of every other defender in the world. So I think it's indisputable, really.
He's had such an impact for the Netherlands in their Nations League. You know, he ensured that they reached the semi-finals where they're going to play England with that volley against Germany, and the impact that he's had on Liverpool's defence is just like unbelievable.
Right, second defender. Stan?
I think it's, you know, and it pains me to say it because I'm not his biggest fan, but it's quite hard to look beyond Sergio Ramos. I think that him and Van Dijk are kind of, you know, just head and shoulders above other defenders in the world. I think there's others who could get a mention, but I think for me, you know, the success that he's had at a club level in the last few years, just, you know, it's class.
Ramos makes the team. Agree with that?
I'm a big fan of Ramos, but I wonder whether that place should go to Raphael Varane for, you know, his part in winning France the World Cup, as well as the Champions League with Real Madrid that he won alongside Sergio Ramos. I'm not sure. I think Varane maybe should tip him to it.
If you're winning the Champions League and the World Cup in the same year, then it's, you know, I'm happy to concede defeat on this one.
Okay, but he hasn't had a red card in 2018, and that's unheard of for Sergio Ramos.
That's not to say he shouldn't have had.
That is very true. So we swapping Ramos out?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Varane goes in. Left back, who are we going?
I think, you know, with the options that we have here, I think Marcelo. I think, you know, again, similar to Ramos, you know, he's just been performing at such a consistent level for such a long time, and I really don't think that there's anybody in the world that, you know, could really compete for that position. It's one of the weaker positions, I think, in world football, but I think that he is certainly the strongest out there, particularly this year.
Yeah, there's not that many world-class left-backs about. I think Marcelo's probably been the best for the past decade or so. You know, he could play in midfield, he could play on the wing if he had to. Honourable mention to Lucas Hernandez, who played left-back for France in the World Cup, stepping in for Benjamin Mendy. Thought he was class, but yeah, Marcelo blows them all out the water.
Brilliant. Okay, right back. Now, we've only got limited options for right back. Kyle Walker's there. Is there anyone better than Kyle Walker?
Like we said, it's a World Cup year. You have to look at the World Cup. As with the left back position, I don't think the right back position is particularly strong at the moment, which is strange considering how important fullbacks are in football.
Kimmich deserves a mention, especially not Trippier. I'm not having that.
But the free kick, you know.
Yeah. Free kick.
The free kick was one of the best
Short
moments
memories.
of my life. But if you've watched him play for Spurs this season, you're not having him in this team.
Yeah.
I think Vasalko was really good at the World Cup as well, and Danny Carvajal, especially for Real Madrid, he's been brilliant. So I think this time it's got to go to Kyle Walker.
And we've got to have an Englishman representing, haven't we?
Yeah.
In the squad somewhere.
Yeah.
I can't
That's
see.
the only
I can't
place
see
he's
anywhere. I
getting.
can't see anywhere else they want to get in. So.
Right, okay, guys, on to the midfield. Who's your first shout, Rubes?
N'Golo Kante.
Kante, yeah?
Yeah, I think he's been magnificent for club and country. He's just so complete. You know, best tackler, he can move with the ball, decent passer. I think he's got to be in there.
And the nicest guy in football.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Left mid.
You've got to have Modric in that midfield three. I think, you know,
Ballon d'Or winner.
feels like a fairly easy choice. Won the Champions League, carried his team to the final of the World Cup. Has been magnificent all season. Just seems to get better and better with age. Got to have him in.
Okay, Wayne, who's your third and final midfielder?
This one's kind of tough because you have two World Cup winners in Matuidi and Pogba, and you also have De Bruyne and Silva. And I think that, for me, it comes down to them. But I just think, despite his injury, for the influence that he had on City's team towards the end of last season, and whenever he comes into the team, I think De Bruyne has to take it for me.
Slightly harsh on Pogba, but I think I would agree. De Bruyne's got that X factor, and Yeah, he was City's best player last season when they won the Premier League. They've missed him a little bit this season, but anyone would miss, you know, De Bruyne. He's that good.
Yeah, he's quality. Yeah. Stan, happy with that 3?
Yeah, I am. I think Rakitic deserves an honourable mention as well.
Yeah.
He's had a great year. Again, been class for Barcelona, been class for Croatia. I would have personally gone for David Silva, but I think I have a bit of a soft spot for him. I just, you know, love the way he plays. He's a magician. But I've got no qualms with Kevin De Bruyne. He's, you know, arguably the most talented player in the Premier League, and I think we've seen this year that City have really missed him.
Right, now we are on to the strikers. This is where it gets a little bit difficult. I'm going to start with you, Wayne. Who's your first striker?
So I'm going to avoid the incredibly obvious ones and go for the one that I feel strongest about here. Kylian Mbappe. I think that he has been probably the most impressive footballer in the world this year. When you look at everything about it, when you look at what age he is, how he consistently proves himself at a new level every single time. There's no betting in period, whether it's the Champions League when he was playing with Monaco or the World Cup with France, scoring 2 goals in the World Cup final. I think he's the future of football.
He's won 2 league titles and a World Cup before the age of 20.
Yeah.
Which is quite impressive by anyone's standards.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's so much quality to choose from here. Left wing in this system is probably the best place to put him, because I'm going to put Lionel Messi on the right wing. Controversial to put the greatest player of all time in this team. It's weird. I think he's so good that the year he's had doesn't even register. I think you have to have Messi in every team.
He's got to make
like
the team.
Yeah.
So there's one spot left. Now this is where it gets complicated, because we've still got so much class on that board. We've got Harry Kane, Golden Boot winner at the World Cup. We've got Ronaldo. We've got Salah.
Griezmann.
We've got Griezmann.
It's only one of those for me, and I think it's, you know, it is controversial to leave the big man out there, but it's got to be Mo Salah.
Salah.
I don't know how there can be any arguments. The amount of goals he scored this year,
Mm-hmm.
the amount, you know, absolutely changed the mentality of Liverpool. I believe, you know, this time last year, you know, Coutinho had just left. They'd sold one of their best players to Barcelona again. They could have just capitulated, and then this man stepped up and had, you know, one of the best years I've ever seen any professional footballer have in my lifetime.
Much like Harry Kane back in 2015, he's proved that he's not a one-season wonder. This is his level.
So that is our Joe 11 Team of the Year. If you agree or disagree, let us know in the comments below.